Hello everyone, and welcome to my podcast. My name is Tommy Wenning, and I am a student at the University of Kentucky, and today I want to take you on a journey through time, a journey that teaches us about the remnants of slavery that still stand across the United States. From plantations and burial grounds to the homes of founding fathers, these spaces are more than just historical landmarks. They are living reminders of a painful past that still echoes in our present. This topic really inspired me after seeing a photograph by artist Ramell called Giving Tree. It shows a person resting across the limbs of a large oak tree. That same large oak tree reminded me of the same oak trees found in southern Louisiana where Oak Alley Plantation can be found, a place where beauty and brutality coexist. It inspired me to recognize the importance of these spaces and to talk about why we should preserve them, not to glorify them, but to learn from them. No matter how uncomfortable it is, we cannot ignore history. So today, we'll explore several of these physical and cultural reminders. I'll share a little bit about what they are, how they were connected to slavery, their current state, and what impact they have, both good and bad. And we'll also talk about how these spaces can honor resilience while also forcing us to confront the horrors of our history. We'll begin with Oak Alley Plantation. Oak Alley Plantation is located in St. James Parish, Louisiana, halfway between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. If you've seen a photo of its grand driveway lined with towering oak trees, chances are you can see how beautiful it is. But behind that beauty is a much darker truth. At its peak, this plantation enslaved over 120 African Americans. They lived in inhumane conditions, often separated from their families, and were subjected to grueling labor and brutal punishments. Like many plantations in the South, Oak Alley was a place where death, injury, and suffering were constant realities. Today, Oak Alley is a National Historic Landmark and has been turned into a museum. The exhibits there don't shy away from the plantation's role in slavery. In fact, they tell the stories of specific enslaved individuals and offer a glimpse into their lives. Still, the beauty of the estate can sometimes mask the truth. That's why the museum's focus on education is so important, because it ensures visitors that they don't just admire the scenery, but reflect on the suffering that took place beneath those oaks. Next, we will be moving to the heart of New York City, Lower Manhattan actually, to a place where many people walk by every day without ever realizing the significance of the African burial ground. This site is the oldest and largest known excavated burial ground in North America for both free and enslaved Africans. It reminds us that slavery wasn't just a Southern institution. New York actually had one of the largest enslaved populations in colonial America, second only to Charleston, South Carolina. Over 15,000 African men, women, and children were buried here, many without markers, many without names. In 1991, during the construction of a federal building, workers uncovered more than 400 remains. After public outcry and advocacy, the site was studied, honored, and eventually preserved. In 2006, it was dedicated as a national monument. This sacred ground has been buried under layers of pavement and city life for more than a century, but thanks to those who fought for its recognition, it now serves as a space of remembrance and one that refuses to let history be erased. Our next and final stop takes us to the homes of two of America's most celebrated founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson's home of Monticello and George Washington's home of Mount Vernon. Jefferson, the man who wrote, "All men are created equal," enslaved over 600 people in his lifetime. One of them even, Sally Hemings, was the mother of at least 6 of his children. George Washington even owned over 300 enslaved individuals himself, even though he chose to free them in his will. Today, both homes, Monticello and Mount Vernon, are open to the public, and both have made an effort to tell the full story. Tours now focus not just on the grandeur of the homes, but also on the lives of the enslaved people who made those estates possible. There's something powerful and jarring about walking through the same halls where the nation's ideals were born, while also standing in the corridors of the people whose freedom was denied. These homes reveal the contradiction at the core of our country's founding: liberty for some, bondage for others. In conclusion, these places, Oak Alley Plantation, the African Burial Ground, Monticello, and Mount Vernon, are not just remnants of the past. They are living, breathing spaces that challenge us to confront the truth of how our country was built. They remind us that history isn't just something you read in a textbook. It's something that you can walk through, feel under your feet, and carry with you long after you leave. It's easy to admire the beauty of Oak Alley's oak trees or the architectural brilliance of Monticello without acknowledging the suffering that made them possible. But that's why these sites matter so much. They make it harder to turn away. They make it harder to forget. These spaces allow us to reflect on the contradictions at the heart of American history, how ideals like liberty and justice were proclaimed by men who held people in bondage. It's uncomfortable, it's painful, but it's also necessary, because until we can face these contradictions head on, we can't truly understand where we came from or where we need to go. We also have to remember that these are not just stories of pain, they're also stories of resilience, of strength, of survival. The people who lived and labored on these grounds endured unimaginable hardships, and their stories deserve to be told with honesty, care, and dignity. Preserving these places is a form of justice. It's a way of saying, you mattered, your story matters. It's a way to ensure that the past doesn't get whitewashed or buried beneath convenience or comfort. It's especially important today as we see debates over history, memory, and identity playing out across the country. To protect these sites and the truth they hold, they don't just help us understand the past, they challenge us to build a more honest, informed, and compassionate future. Because at the end of the day, African American history is American history, and to leave any part of it behind, no matter how dark or difficult, is to leave out the soul of who we are. So let's keep asking questions, let's keep listening to the stories, let's keep walking the paths that others were forced to walk, so that we never forget what happened, and never stop striving for something better. Thanks again for listening to my podcast. I'm Tommy Wenning, and I hope you'll join me next time as we continue to explore the places where history still speaks.